My daughter wrote, "Do not you dare come to my wedding. My husband does not want you there. You are a stranger to us." I quietly cancelled all the checks. The next morning, she was standing at my front door. "I am glad you are here with me. Please like this video and listen to my story until the end, and let me know which city you are listening from. That way, I can see how far my story has traveled." I had spent 32 years building a life I thought nothing could shake. My daughter Emma was my whole world. She was the girl I raised alone after her father left when she was 3. I worked double shifts at the hospital, saved every penny, and put her through college. She graduated with honors in marketing, got a good job in Boston, and I was so proud I felt like I could burst. Life was good. Simple, maybe, but good. I had my small house in Connecticut, my garden, and my book club on Thursdays. Emma called every Sunday. We would talk for an hour, sometimes 2. She would tell me about her work, her friends, her life. I would listen, give advice when she asked for it, and send care packages. That was our rhythm. That was our normal. Then, 6 months ago, she mentioned Jake. At first, it seemed innocent enough, a coworker. They had gotten coffee a few times. He was nice, she said. Ambitious. I smiled into the phone, happy that she had found someone. But something in her voice had changed, a guarded tone I had never heard before. When I asked to meet him, she hesitated. "Maybe later, Mom. We are taking things slow." Slow turned into fast. Within 2 months, they were living together. Within 4, they were engaged. I still had not met Jake. Every time I suggested visiting, Emma had an excuse. Work was busy. Jake was traveling. The apartment was being renovated. I told myself not to worry. Young couples needed space. I did not want to be that mother, the clingy one, the controlling one. But the excuses kept coming. When she finally sent me a photo of them together, I stared at it for a long time. Jake was handsome in that polished corporate way. Slicked back hair, expensive suit, a smile that did not quite reach his eyes. He had his arm around Emma, but she looked smaller somehow, dimmer. I pushed the thought away. I was being paranoid. She was happy. That was what mattered. The wedding was planned for June, a destination ceremony in the Bahamas. Intimate, Emma said. Just close family and friends. I booked my flight right away and started shopping for a mother-of-the-bride dress. I even offered to help with the costs, the venue, the flowers, whatever they needed. Emma accepted. Of course she did. I was her mother. I sent the first payment in March, $15,000 for the resort deposit. In April, another $12,000 for catering. In May, $8,000 for photography and flowers. Emma thanked me each time, but her messages were short, almost cold. I told myself she was just stressed. Planning a wedding was overwhelming. She would be herself again once it was over. Then came the message. It was a Tuesday evening. I was in my garden, cutting dead roses, when my phone buzzed. A text from Emma. My heart lifted. She had been so distant lately. Maybe she was finally ready to talk. Really talk. I opened it. "Do not you dare come to my wedding. Jake does not want you there. You are a stranger to us." I read it 3 times. 4. The words did not change. My hand started shaking. The phone almost slipped from my hand. "Do not come to the wedding. Stranger." What was she talking about? I had given her everything. I had raised her alone. I had given up my own dreams so she could have hers. And now I was a stranger. I called her right away. Straight to voicemail. I tried again and again. Nothing. I texted back, Emma, what is wrong? Please call me. Let us talk about this. No answer. I sat down on my garden bench, the roses forgotten, and tried to understand. Had I done something wrong, said something hurtful? I replayed our last conversation, a short talk about her dress fitting. It had been pleasant, normal. There had been no argument, no tension. Unless this was not about me at all. Jake, it had to be Jake. From the moment she met him, everything had changed. The distance, the excuses, the coldness. He had turned her against me. He had changed my own daughter into someone I did not recognize. My shock started turning into something else, something harder. I opened my banking app with shaking fingers. There they were. All 3 payments. $35,000. Money I had saved for years. Money meant to celebrate her happiness. Money she had taken while planning to humiliate me. I did not hesitate. One by one, I canceled the checks. Each click felt like a small act of justice. If I was a stranger, then strangers did not pay for weddings. Strangers did not give up everything for ungrateful children. I set my phone down and waited. I did not sleep that night. How could I? I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while 32 years of memories played over and over in my mind. Emma's first steps. Her first day of school. The time she broke her arm falling off her bike, and I held her in the emergency room, promising everything would be okay. Her high school graduation. Her college acceptance letter. Had it all been for nothing? By 3 a.m., I had moved to the kitchen table with a notepad and pen. I needed to see it all written down. I needed to understand the full size of what I had lost. Not just the money, though. That was painful enough. $35,000 meant 2 years of extra shifts, missed vacations, and a delayed retirement. I had planned to visit Europe next year. That dream was gone now, but the money was nothing compared to the rest. I made a list. Wedding payments, $35,000. Emma's college tuition, I had covered half, $42,000. Her car, a graduation gift, $18,000. First apartment deposits and furniture, $8,000. Medical insurance until she got her job, $15,000. Countless birthday gifts, Christmas presents, care packages, impossible to count. Total money spent, over $118,000. Time spent, impossible to measure. Emotional investment, my whole heart. And what did I get back? A text message telling me I was a stranger. Telling me I was not welcome at my own daughter's wedding. The unfairness of it made my chest hurt. I had done everything right. I had been a good mother, not perfect, but loving, supportive, present. I had never missed a recital, a game, or a parent-teacher conference. Even when I was exhausted, even when money was painfully tight, I had shown up. And this was my reward. Around 5 a.m., something changed inside me. The grief started to harden into resolve. I was not going to sit there drowning in self-pity. I was not going to let Emma and Jake treat me like trash and walk away without consequences. They had made a choice. Now they would live with it. I needed a plan. First, document everything. I took screenshots of Emma's message, of our earlier text conversations showing how warm she had been before Jake came into her life, and of all the wedding payment confirmations. I made a folder on my computer called Evidence. Whatever happened next, I would have proof. Second, protect myself financially. I had already canceled the checks, but what else was at risk? I reviewed my will. Emma was listed as my only beneficiary, set to inherit my house, my savings, everything. That needed to change. I made a note to call my lawyer first thing Monday morning. Third, understand what I was dealing with. Jake was the problem. I was sure of it. But who was he really? What kind of man convinced a woman to turn away from her mother? I opened my laptop and started searching. Jake Morrison, Boston Marketing. Emma had mentioned his last name once. I found his LinkedIn profile, impressive on the surface. Harvard MBA, corporate strategist, currently working at some consulting firm with a sleek website. But as I dug deeper, scrolling through his connections and posts, something felt wrong. Every photo showed him in expensive clothes, luxury restaurants, exotic vacations. For someone in his late 20s, he lived very well, too well. Was he wealthy? Or was he in debt, living beyond what he could afford? And if it was the second one, was that why he had pushed Emma to cut me off, so he could isolate her from anyone who might question his lifestyle or his control? The thought made me feel cold. I was still researching when the sun came up. Golden light streamed through my kitchen windows, lighting up my notepad covered with notes, questions, and theories. I felt exhausted, but strangely clear-headed. For the first time in 12 hours, I knew exactly what I was doing. Then I heard a car door slam. I looked up. Through the window, I could see someone walking up my front path. My heart jumped. Emma. She looked terrible. Puffy eyes, wrinkled clothes, no makeup, like she had been crying all night. She reached my front door and knocked. 3 sharp knocks. I did not move right away. Part of me wanted to throw the door open, pull her into my arms, and tell her everything would be okay. That was the mother in me, the woman who had calmed her nightmares and kissed her scraped knees. But another part, the part that had grown stronger in the dark hours of the morning, stayed very still. What was she doing there? Had she come to say sorry, to explain, or was this something else? I stood up slowly, walked to the door, and opened it. Emma's face was streaked with tears and mascara. "Mom," she choked out. "What did you do?" I did not invite her in. I stood in the doorway, crossed my arms, and waited for her to keep going. "You canceled the checks," Emma said, her voice getting louder with every word. "The venue called Jake this morning. They said the deposit bounced. The caterer, the photographer. Everyone is canceling on us. The wedding is in 3 weeks, Mom. 3 weeks. So that was it. She had not come to say sorry. She had come because the money was gone. You told me not to come to your wedding," I said quietly. "You called me a stranger. Strangers do not pay for weddings, Emma." I did not mean it like that. She wiped her eyes hard. I was upset. "Jake and I had a fight and Jake told you to send that message, did he not?" She hesitated for just a second. "But that second told me everything." "No, I mean he has concerns about you, about your influence on our marriage." "My influence?" I almost laughed. "I have not even met him, Emma. How could I possibly influence anything?" "That is not," she stopped, frustrated. "Look, this is not about Jake. This is about you trying to control me with money. You always do this. Whenever I do not do exactly what you want, you threaten to cut me off." The accusation hit like a slap. "Name one time. One single time I have ever done that." She opened her mouth, closed it, and looked away. "You cannot because it never happened. I have given you everything, Emma. Everything. And I never asked for anything back except basic respect and honesty. But apparently that is too much. You are being dramatic." "Am I?" I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshot of her message, and held it up. "Read this out loud. Tell me I am being dramatic." Emma glanced at the screen and flinched. I was angry. Read it. Mom, please read it. Her jaw tightened. Do not you dare come to my wedding. Jake does not want you there. You are a stranger to us. Her voice was barely a whisper by the end. Do angry people mean what they say, Emma? Or do they just say what they have been thinking all along? Tears ran down her cheeks. That is not fair. What is not fair is raising you alone for 32 years and being treated like an inconvenience. I kept my voice steady, cold even. I could not afford to break down. Not then. What is not fair is paying $35,000 for a wedding I am not invited to. You are invited. I want you there. Jake wants you there too. He just what? She bit her lip. He thinks you might make things difficult. Say something inappropriate. Embarrass us in front of his family. There it was, the truth. Finally. I have never embarrassed you in my life, I said. But I am a divorced nurse from Connecticut. And Jake's family is what? Boston old money, Harvard connections. Am I not polished enough for them? Not wealthy enough? It is not about that. Then what is it about? Explain it to me, because I truly do not understand how you went from loving your mother to calling her a stranger in 6 months. Emma's phone buzzed. She looked at it, and I saw the name on the screen. Jake. Her whole body tightened. You need to answer that. I asked. No, yes. She looked torn. The phone kept buzzing. Finally, she answered. Hey, I am at my mom's. I am handling it. I could not hear his reply, but I watched Emma's face. The way her expression changed from sadness to fear to obedience. She was nodding, saying, I know and I understand and I will try. When she hung up, she looked at me with something like desperation. Mom, please just put the checks back. We can talk about everything else after the wedding. I promise we will fix this, but right now you need money. I need my wedding to happen. Do you know how humiliating this is? We already sent invitations. Jake's parents are flying in from London. I cannot tell them it is cancelled because my mother threw a tantrum. A tantrum? That was what she thought this was. Let me ask you something, I said. If I give you the money, will I be welcome at the wedding? She hesitated again. That terrible hesitation. I will talk to Jake. That is not an answer. He is my fiancé. I cannot just ignore his feelings. But you can ignore mine. Emma's face crumpled. Why are you doing this? Why are you ruining my life? I felt something inside me break. Not in anger, but in clarity. This was not my daughter anymore. This was a stranger wearing my daughter's face, saying someone else's words, living by someone else's priorities. I am not ruining your life, Emma. I am just not paying for it anymore. There is a difference. So that is it. You are just done with me. No, I said. You were done with me. I am just accepting it. I stepped back and closed the door. Through the wood, I heard her sob. Mom. Mom, please. She knocked, then pounded. Really? I am sorry. Please do not do this. I walked away, back to the kitchen, back to my notepad and my plan. My phone rang 5 minutes later. Emma. I did not answer. She called 4 more times. Then the text started. Please pick up. I love you. We can fix this. Jake did not mean it. I did not mean it. Please. I turned my phone to silent and made myself a cup of tea. My hands were shaking, but my mind was calm. Monday morning, I would call my lawyer. I would change my will, set up a trust for any future grandchildren, and make sure Emma got nothing until she proved she could stand on her own 2 feet away from Jake. This was my point of no return, and I was ready. Monday morning, I sat in Robert Chen's office at exactly 9 a.m. Robert had been my lawyer for 15 years. He had handled my divorce, my will, even a property dispute with a neighbor once. He was careful, private, and completely unshakable until I told him why I was there. "You want to disinherit your daughter." He set down his pen and looked at me over his reading glasses. "Margaret, that is a major decision. Are you absolutely sure?" "Completely sure." I showed him everything. Emma's message, the cancelled wedding checks, the screenshots of our conversations. He read through it all carefully, his face growing darker. "This is unfortunate," he said at last. "But I have to ask, is this a decision made in the heat of the moment? Something you might regret?" "I have had 3 days to think about it. My answer has not changed." He nodded slowly. "All right, here is what I suggest. We create a revocable living trust. Your assets go into the trust, and you keep full control during your lifetime. When you die, the trust avoids probate and gives out your assets according to your wishes, that is what we need to decide. You could leave everything to charity, set up a scholarship fund, create a trust for future grandchildren with conditions attached," or he paused. "You could leave Emma a symbolic amount, $1 for example, to show you did not forget her, which makes the will harder to contest." I thought about it. The trust for grandchildren. I like that. If Emma has children someday, they should not suffer because of her choices. But they get nothing until they are 25. And Emma has no control over the money. Smart. And the rest? Split it between the American Cancer Society and the scholarship fund at Emma's college. Ironic, is it not? The education I paid for will help other people's children. Robert drafted the papers that afternoon. I signed them on Wednesday. Just like that, Emma went from inheriting everything to inheriting nothing. But I was not done. I had been researching Jake Morrison for 3 straight days. What I found made my blood run cold. He was not just ambitious. He was drowning. Credit card debt, a repossessed car 2 years ago, 3 former addresses in 2 years. And worst of all, he had been engaged before twice, both times to women from wealthy families. Both engagements ended suddenly when the women's families got involved. Jake was not marrying Emma because he loved her. He was marrying her because he thought she came with a trust fund. Realizing that made me sick. My daughter was being used. I was putting together evidence on Thursday afternoon when someone started pounding on my front door. Not knocking, pounding. I looked through the window and saw Jake's BMW in my driveway. Here we go, I thought. I opened the door and found both of them there. Emma looked miserable. Jake looked furious. "What the hell do you think you are doing?" Jake did not even try to be polite. He pushed past me into my house. "Excuse me." I blocked Emma from following him. "You do not get to walk into my home without being invited. Your home." Jake spun around, his face red. "The home Emma is supposed to inherit." "I do not think so. We need to talk about your little stunt." "Jake, please," Emma started, but he cut her off. "No, your mother needs to understand something." He stepped closer to me, trying to use his height to scare me. "You are destroying your daughter's life out of spite. You are a bitter, controlling woman who cannot stand to see Emma happy." I did not move. "Interesting idea. Here is another one. You are a con artist who found an easy target and cut her off from anyone who might expose you." His eyes widened just a little. "But enough. I have been doing research, Jake. Want to know what I found? 3 former addresses, 2 broken engagements, and debt up to your eyeballs. You do not love Emma. You love the idea of what she could give you. That is insane. Is it? Then explain why Emma never met your family until after you were engaged. Explain why you pushed for a destination wedding that would keep people away. Explain why my invitation was taken back the moment I started asking questions. Emma was staring at him now. Jake, what is she talking about? Nothing. She is making things up to turn you against me. Am I? I pulled out my phone and opened the folder of screenshots and documents. Here is your credit report, Jake. Public record. Here is an article about your first engagement. Cancelled 3 weeks before the wedding. Sound familiar? I held up the phone. Emma looked. Her face turned white. Those are Emma. Do not listen to her. I can explain. You said you had never been engaged before. Emma whispered. You said I was your first serious relationship. Baby, that was different. Those women were not what? Rich enough. Easy enough to fool. Jake's mask slipped. For just a moment, I saw pure rage flash across his face. Then he covered it, reached for Emma's hand. Let us go. Your mother is toxic. This is exactly why I said she should not come to the wedding, but Emma pulled her hand away. You said you wanted her there. You said you understood that family was important. I lied to make you happy. Obviously, I did not want her there. Look at what she is doing to us. The truth. Finally. Straight from his mouth. Emma looked from him to me, tears pouring down her face. Then she turned and ran to the car. Jake pointed a finger at me. This is not over. You have turned her against me, but I will fix it. And when I do, you will be the one left with nothing. He stormed out. I watched through the window as he and Emma argued in the car. She was crying. He was waving his hands angrily. Finally, the BMW roared out of my driveway. I closed the door and leaned against it, shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. That had been intense. More intense than I had expected. Jake was dangerous. Maybe not physically, but emotionally, mentally. The way he had tried to twist reality, to gaslight both of us. I needed a break. I called my friend Patricia and told her I needed a few days away. She invited me to her cabin in the Berkshires right away. Come now, she said. Stay as long as you want. I packed a bag and left within the hour. For 3 days, I did not check my phone. I hiked, read books, sat by the lake. I let my nervous system recover from the confrontation. When I finally turned my phone back on, there were 43 missed calls and 72 text messages. The war, it seemed, was only beginning. The messages were a perfect lesson in manipulation. From Jake, Margaret, I apologize for my behavior. I was defensive and said things I did not mean. Can we talk like adults? From Emma. Mom, I love you. Please give Jake another chance. He is under a lot of stress with the wedding. From Jake again. I understand your concerns. What if we postpone the wedding? Gave everyone time to get to know each other properly. From Emma. Jake wants to take you to dinner. Just the 3 of us. Please say yes. Then more desperate ones. Mom, answer your phone. Where are you? I am worried about you. Call me. I read through them all at Patricia's cabin, sipping coffee while morning light came through the pine trees. Patricia sat across from me, her sharp eyes missing nothing. They are scared, she said. That is good. Or getting ready for their next move. Maybe both. She filled my mug again. What are you going to do? Nothing. Let them worry. Patricia smiled. I taught you well. She really had. Patricia had been my mentor when I first started nursing, a fierce woman who had raised 3 kids alone while working her way up to head nurse. She did not put up with nonsense from anyone, and she had taught me not to either. The question is, she went on, what do they want? If Jake knows you are onto him, why has he not just walked away and moved on? I had been wondering the same thing. Emma must not believe me yet, or she is choosing not to. And as long as she is still with him, there is a chance he thinks he can save this. So he needs to either win you over or turn Emma fully against you, right? And after how badly that confrontation went, I would guess he is trying the first way now, which explains the apologies. Patricia nodded thoughtfully. Be careful, Maggie. Men like that are dangerous when they are cornered. I drove home that afternoon, strengthened by rest and Patricia's wisdom. My house felt different when I walked in. Smaller somehow, but also more clearly mine. I had lived there for 20 years. I had raised Emma there. I was not going to be pushed out by a con artist and his mind games. I sat down and wrote one message to Emma. I love you. I always will. But I will not have a relationship with Jake built on lies. When you are ready to hear the truth and have an honest conversation, I am here. Until then, I need space. Her reply came within minutes. We need to talk, please. Not yet. When? When you are ready to listen. Really listen. 3 hours later, a flower delivery arrived. 24 roses, expensive ones, with a card from Jake and Emma. We are sorry. Please give us a chance. I gave them to my neighbor. The next day, a gift basket appeared on my porch. Fancy chocolates, wine, cheeses. The card said, thinking of you, love, Emma. I donated it to the church charity sale. On the 3rd day, Jake himself showed up, alone this time. I watched through the window as he knocked politely, waited, then left an envelope tucked into my doorframe. Inside was a check for $35,000 and a handwritten note. Margaret, I know we got off on the wrong foot. I love your daughter more than anything in this world, and I hate that I have come between you. Please accept this repayment for the wedding expenses. Consider it an investment in our fresh start. I would like to take you to lunch this week, my treat. Anywhere you would like. Let me prove I am worthy of Emma. Jake. I stared at that check for a long time. $35,000, exactly what I had paid. He was trying to buy me, make himself look generous, responsible, and erase his debt with my daughter by creating one with me. It was clever. I would give him that. I tore the check in half, then into quarters, then into tiny pieces. I put them in an envelope and mailed them back to Jake's apartment with a note of my own. I cannot be bought, Margaret. That weekend, I went to my book club for the first time in 3 weeks. The women there had been my friends for years. Sarah, Linda, Joan, Patricia. They all knew something was wrong. I had been distant, distracted, canceling meetings. I told them everything. When I finished, Sarah reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You are doing the right thing. Am I? I keep wondering if I am being too harsh, if I should just let it go. Be at the wedding. Try to build a relationship with Jake for Emma's sake. Absolutely not, Linda said firmly. She had been through a nasty divorce. She knew manipulation when she saw it. That man is using your daughter. If you back down now, you are telling him his tactics worked. But what if I lose Emma completely? Joan, the oldest of us at 74, spoke up quietly. Then you lose her, but you do not lose yourself. Do not give up your integrity for someone who has already decided you do not matter. Her words hit hard, but they were true. Patricia poured me more wine. Besides, you have not lost her yet. She is still texting you, still trying. Part of her knows something is wrong. The question, Sarah added, is whether she will see it before the wedding or after. After will be worse, I said. If she marries him, then you will be there to help pick up the pieces. But that is future Margaret's problem. Present Margaret needs to hold the line. I left that meeting feeling stronger than I had in days. These women had my back. They saw through Jake's charm and Emma's desperation. They reminded me I was not crazy, not cruel, not wrong. That night, Emma called. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Mom. Her voice was small, scared. I am here. Did you get Jake's check? I did. I sent it back. Silence. Then why? We were trying to make things right. Emma, you cannot buy forgiveness. That is not how this works. Then what do you want from me? She was crying now. I have apologized. Jake has apologized. We have sent gifts, reached out, tried everything. I want you to wake up. What? I want you to see who he really is, what he is doing to you, to us. He loves me. Does he? Or does he love what you represent? She hung up. I sat in the dark, phone in my hand, and wondered if I would ever get my daughter back. They came on a Sunday morning. I was in my garden, just like I had been 4 weeks earlier when all this started, except now my roses were in full bloom and I was a different woman. I heard the car before I saw it. Emma's Honda, not Jake's BMW. Smart choice, I thought. Less aggressive. They walked around to the back gate together, both dressed carefully. Emma in a sundress I had bought her last Christmas. Jake in casual khakis and a button-down shirt. They looked like a greeting card. Young couple. Beautiful day. Coming to make peace with Mom. Margaret, Jake called out with a warm smile. We hoped we would find you here. Your roses are beautiful. I stood up straight and slowly pulled off my gardening gloves. Emma, Jake, can we talk? Emma asked. She looked nervous. Please, just for a few minutes. I could have said no. Maybe I should have, but curiosity won. All right. We sat at my patio table, the one where Emma and I used to eat breakfast on summer mornings when she was little. Jake placed himself at the head of the table. Interesting choice, I noticed. Claiming power in my space. Margaret, I want to start by saying I have done a lot of thinking, Jake began, his voice sincere and measured. You were absolutely right to question my intentions. If I were in your place, I would have done the same thing. I said nothing. I waited. I have not been fully honest with Emma or with you. He reached for Emma's hand. She let him take it, but she looked uneasy. I have had financial troubles in the past, and yes, I have been engaged before, but those situations were complicated. Complicated how? The women I was with, their families were controlling. They tried to run our relationships, control every decision. When I pushed back, things fell apart. He looked straight at me. I see now that I was putting those experiences onto you. I assumed you would be the same way. Overbearing, manipulative. I was protecting Emma from something that was not even real. It was a good performance. Open, self-aware, apologetic. If I did not know better, I might have believed him. And the debt? I asked. From my business. I tried to start a consulting firm right out of business school. It failed. I have been trying to climb out ever since, but I am almost there. Another year and I will be clear. He squeezed Emma's hand. I should have told you from the beginning. I was ashamed. Emma was watching him with something like hope in her eyes. She wanted desperately to believe this. So, you are not marrying Emma for her money? I asked plainly. Emma does not have money, Jake said, confusion crossing his face. She works in marketing. We are both just normal people trying to build a life. Ah, there it was. You thought I had money. I said. You thought Emma would inherit. Jake's expression flickered for just a second. I know, that never crossed my mind. Really? Because you seemed very interested in my house, in what Emma was supposed to inherit. I was upset. I said things I did not mean. Like Emma said things she did not mean when she called me a stranger. Emma flinched. Mom, let me guess what happens next, I interrupted. Jake apologizes beautifully. You two promise to include me in the wedding. We all hug and cry, and everything goes back to normal. Except the wedding is in 2 weeks and you still need money. So at some point in this conversation, you are going to ask me to put those checks back. Emma's face turned red. That is not what this is about, is it not? We are trying to fix our relationship. Her voice broke. Why can you not see that? Why do you have to make everything about money? Because money is what brought you here. Not love, not family. Money. Jake's smile finally vanished. You know what, Margaret? Emma was right about you. You are controlling. You use your money like a weapon. I use my money the way I choose. That is called autonomy. It is called being a narcissist. He stood up, his act falling apart. Emma has bent over backward trying to please you. She has apologized, compromised, begged, and you sit there like some queen expecting everyone to bow down. Jake, stop, Emma started. No, she needs to hear this. He turned back to me, and now I could see the real Jake, the one hiding behind the charm. You are a bitter, lonely woman who cannot stand that your daughter found happiness without you. You have built your whole identity around being her mother. And now that she does not need you anymore, you are trying to destroy her life. I stood up slowly. Get out of my house. Gladly. This place is depressing anyway. No wonder Emma could not wait to leave. Emma was crying now. Jake, please stop. Mom, please. Emma, make a choice, I said quietly. Him or me, right now. Her eyes widened. That is not fair. Life is not fair. Choose. She looked from one of us to the other, tears streaming down her face. Then she stood up and walked to Jake's side. Of course she did. I love you, Mom, she whispered. But you are impossible. You have always been impossible. Nothing is ever good enough for you. That is not true. Yes, it is. When I got into college, you said I should have aimed higher. When I got my job, you said I was settling. When I met Jake, you started criticizing him before you even knew him. You just cannot be happy for me. The accusations hurt because they held a tiny bit of truth, twisted and stretched. But there it was. I had worried she was settling. I had wanted her to aim high, but I had never criticized her out of cruelty, only concern. I wanted you to have the best life possible, I said. No, you wanted me to live the life you think is best. There is a difference. Jake put his arm around her shoulders. Come on, baby. Your mom has made her decision. We need to make ours. They walked toward the gate. Then Jake turned back, and his smile was pure poison. By the way, Margaret, the wedding is still happening. We found another way to pay for it. Turns out my family is more supportive than yours ever was. Emma and I are going to be very happy together. And when we have children, they will never know their grandmother was too selfish to be part of their lives. The threat hung in the air. Grandchildren. The future. Everything I would never have if I did not give in. I watched them leave. I watched Emma get into the car without looking back. I watched them drive away. Then I went inside, locked all the doors, and stood in my kitchen shaking. Fear crawled up my spine. Real fear. What if I was wrong? What if I was destroying my relationship with Emma because of pride? What if I never met my grandchildren? But then I remembered Jake's face when his mask slipped. The cruelty, the calculation. And I knew I was not wrong. Emma was making a terrible mistake. But I could not save her from it. She had to save herself. All I could do was be there when she finally woke up. I sat down at my kitchen table, took out my phone, and texted Patricia. They came. It got ugly. I stayed firm. Her reply came right away. Proud of you. You are stronger than you think. I stared at those words until my hands stopped shaking. Then I stood up and went back to my roses. The wedding was supposed to happen on Saturday, June 15th, at some resort in the Bahamas. I knew because the invitation was still on my refrigerator. A beautiful cardstock mockery of everything that had fallen apart. I thought I would spend that day trying not to think about it. Maybe work in the garden. Maybe visit Patricia. Anything to avoid imagining Emma in a white dress, Jake's ring on her finger. My absence, a wide open wound in the family photos. But Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Is this Margaret? Margaret Reeves. Yes. Who is this? My name is Caroline Winters. You do not know me, but I think we need to talk. It is about Jake Morrison. My heart started racing. I am listening. I saw your daughter's wedding announcement online. When I saw Jake's name, I almost threw up. He is marrying someone else again. Her voice was shaking. I was engaged to him 3 years ago. He destroyed my life. I sat down slowly. Tell me everything. The story Caroline told was chillingly familiar. She had met Jake at a charity fundraiser in Boston. He was charming, ambitious, swept her off her feet. They were engaged within 6 months. Wedding planned for the Bahamas. Intimate, beautiful, expensive. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, Caroline's father had a stroke. Suddenly, her inheritance was uncertain. Her father might need long-term care, which would use up the family money. Jake became distant, critical, and started picking fights. Finally, he called off the wedding 3 days before they were supposed to leave, saying Caroline was too emotionally unstable to be a good wife. She found out later that he had already started dating someone else. Another woman from a wealthy family. It is a pattern. Caroline said, I have tracked down 2 other women. Same story every time. He finds someone with money or family wealth, gets engaged, then disappears when he realizes the payout is not coming. Why are you calling me now? Because I have been watching your daughter's social media. I can see what he is doing. The isolation, the rushed timeline. And I saw that you are not in any of their recent photos. That means he is cutting you out. Same as he did with my family. He tried. We had a falling out. Good. That means Emma might still have a chance. She paused. I have proof. Emails, text messages, records of everything. I have been building a file in case he ever tried this again. Would you want to see it? Absolutely. She emailed it within the hour. Pages and pages of evidence, screenshots of Jake's messages to Caroline where he clearly mentioned targeting wealthy circles. Financial records showing how he had tried to access Caroline's trust fund. Statements from the other ex-fiancés. It was damning, undeniable. "What do you want to do with this?" I asked when I called her back. "I want to stop him. I do not know your daughter, but no one deserves what he did to me. If there is any chance of reaching her before the wedding is tomorrow in the Bahamas." "I know." She hesitated. "I was thinking of going, confronting him, but I cannot do it alone. He would just twist it and make me look like a crazy ex." An idea formed in my mind. A wild, maybe crazy idea. "What if we went together?" I said. Silence. "Then you would do that for my daughter?" "Yes." We booked flights that night. Red Ice to Nassau, arriving Saturday morning. It was reckless, expensive, and maybe useless. Emma might not listen. Jake might have us thrown out. But I had to try. We landed at 8 a.m. The wedding was at 4 p.m. Caroline rented a car, and we drove to the resort, a spotless, expensive paradise that would have been beautiful under different circumstances. "How do we even get in?" Caroline asked as we sat in the parking lot. "We walk in. We are guests. We are not on the list. They will not know that until they check. And by then, we will already be inside." It worked. The resort was huge. Multiple weddings were happening. We slipped in with another group and found the ceremony spot, a beach pavilion with white chairs and flower arrangements. Guests were already arriving. I recognized some of Emma's college friends. Jake's parents, older, wealthy-looking, exactly what I had expected. And there, near the front, Emma in her white suit getting ready. My heart clenched. She looked beautiful and so young. "When do we do this?" Caroline whispered. "During the ceremony. When they ask if anyone objects." That is dramatic. This whole thing is dramatic. We waited in the back as guests filled in. I saw Emma walk down the aisle on the arm of her college mentor. She had asked him to give her away since her father was gone and I was not there. It should have been me. Jake waited at the altar, looking handsome and confident, playing his part perfectly. The officiant began. Standard ceremony words. Love, commitment, future. Then, if anyone has any reason why these two should not be married, speak now or forever hold your peace. I stood up. So did Caroline. Emma's face went white. Mom. Emma, do not marry him, I said, my voice carrying across the beach. He has done this before, many times. He is a con artist. Jake's confidence faltered. This is insane. I am Caroline Winters, Caroline called out. I was engaged to Jake 3 years ago. He left me when my family's money was no longer available, just like he will leave Emma. Gasps came from the guests. Jake's parents looked shocked. Emma stood frozen. We have proof, I said, walking down the aisle. Caroline followed. Emails, financial records, statements from other women. He has been running this scam for years. Jake's mask finally broke. You crazy bitch. Do not, I warned. Do not make this worse. Emma was crying. This cannot be true, Jake. Tell them it is not true. He looked at her, and for a moment I saw him calculate. Could he lie his way out? Charm his way through it? Then he ran. Just bolted. Off the pavilion, across the beach. Gone. The silence after that was deafening. Emma collapsed into a chair, sobbing. I rushed to her and wrapped my arms around her. I am sorry, she cried. I am so sorry, Mom. You were right. You were right about everything. I know, baby. I know. Behind us, chaos broke out. Guests whispering. Jake's parents demanding answers. Wedding staff confused. But I did not care about any of that. I had my daughter back. Jake did not get far. Resort security found him trying to check out an hour later. Caroline had already contacted the local police. She had recognized a stolen credit card number Jake used for wedding expenses. Fraud was fraud, even in the Bahamas. They detained him. His parents, ashamed, flew back to London right away. It turned out they had known nothing about his past. He had told them Emma was his first serious relationship. The wedding fell apart. Guests scattered. The resort returned the deposits. Emma sat in her suite, still wearing her wedding dress, staring at nothing. Caroline and I stayed with her. I cannot believe I almost married him, Emma whispered. I cannot believe I chose him over you. He is very good at what he does, Caroline said gently. You are not stupid. You were manipulated by a professional. Emma turned to me, her eyes swollen. I said terrible things to you. You were under his influence. I know that was not really you. Can you forgive me? I pulled her close. Already done. We stayed in Nassau 3 more days. Emma and I talked about everything. Her childhood, my divorce, our mistakes. We cried. We laughed. We began healing. When we got home, I took her to see Robert Chin. I need to update my will. I told him. I want Emma put back in as my beneficiary. Full inheritance. Emma's head snapped toward me. Mom, no. After everything, you are my daughter. Nothing changes that. She started crying. I do not deserve love is not about deserving. It is about choosing. And I choose you, always. But we were not done with Jake. Caroline had been building a legal case for years. Now, with Emma's testimony, she had enough for a serious lawsuit. The district attorney in Boston took the case. Jake was brought back, faced charges in 3 states. The investigation uncovered 5 more victims, 7 women in total. He had stolen over $200,000 across all his schemes. The trial happened 8 months later. Emma and Caroline both testified. They were powerful, clear, and unshakable. Jake's defense tried to paint them as bitter exes. It did not work. The jury found him guilty on 14 counts of fraud. The judge sentenced him to 6 years in prison, plus full repayment. As they led him away in handcuffs, he looked at Emma one last time. She stared back, her face calm, and said nothing. She did not owe him words. She did not owe him anything. Afterward, Emma and I went to dinner. We ordered wine, expensive steaks, dessert. I cannot believe it is over, she said. How do you feel? Free. She smiled, truly smiled, for the first time in months. Like I can finally breathe. We raised our glasses. To fresh starts, Emma said. To truth, I added. To family. We drank. The wine tasted like victory. Caroline called later that week. Jake's parents want to help with repayment. They are also setting up a foundation to help victims of romantic fraud. They asked if I wanted to be involved. Are you going to do it? I think so. Turn this nightmare into something useful. I understood. I had been thinking the same thing. That night, I updated my will one last time. Everything went to Emma, but I added a scholarship fund for single mothers studying nursing. Women like I had once been. Robert approved the papers. This is a good legacy, Margaret. It is the right one. The war was over. We had won. Not just one. We had destroyed him the right way, with truth, evidence, and the law. Emma was free. I was free. We had survived. More than that, we had won. 2 years later, my life looked completely different. Emma moved back to Connecticut and bought a condo 20 minutes away. We had dinner twice a week. She had changed careers and was now training to be a school counselor, helping teenage girls recognize manipulation. I wish I had someone like this when I was younger, she told me. We had grown closer than ever, not dependent, but equal partners who also happened to be mother and daughter. My scholarship fund awarded its first recipients, 5 single mothers studying nursing. I felt purpose settle in my chest. I started dating. David, a retired teacher, became a regular companion. Museums, concerts, Napa Valley. Emma approved. You smile more, Mom. Life became peaceful, happy. Meanwhile, Jake's life fell apart. Prison was hard. His charm did not work there. More charges extended his sentence to 9 years. His parents fully cut him off. His reputation was ruined. No company would hire him. No woman would trust him. He tried writing a memoir. Every publisher rejected it. Caroline found 12 victims in total. But now he was the ruined one. We were rebuilding. Emma started dating Marcus. Gentle, honest, kind. She seemed like herself around him. I am happy, Mom. Me too, baby. Finally. Looking back, I learned that love without boundaries is not love. It is enabling. Protecting someone from consequences does not help them grow. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stand firm, even when it breaks your heart. Emma learned that charm is not character. That isolation is a warning sign, not romance. If someone toxic starts pulling your loved one away, do not back down. Stand firm. Speak the truth. What would you have done? Would you have given in or held the line? Leave a comment below. Subscribe if this spoke to you. Standing up for ourselves is not selfish, it is survival. Thank you for listening.